Thank you for listening to Shy Sox Talk with your hosts, Chris and Matt, your weekly place for White Sox fan reactions. Kick back, relax, grab your favorite beverage, and enjoy the show. Talk listeners, my name is Chris. As always, I'm here with my good friend and co-host, Matt. How are you doing tonight, Matt?
Doing great. Glad to kind of been missing in action for a little bit, but I'm happy to be back in the swing of things.
We're very happy to have you back. And tonight we have a guest, a new friend of ours, the Top Fan Rivalry, lifelong White Sox fan, Dave. How are you doing tonight, Dave?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
The White Sox are on a roll. Series wins. They are now, I believe, only 10 games under 500.
I think they're still 11, but I think they're still might be 11 games under.
Yeah, they're 11. That's tough. They're 11 games under 500, but only 7 games back of the division. So tonight, after this kind of abysmal start, we thought it would be fun to do a little theoretical chat. If we were seen by Jerry out in the middle of Chicago with a White Sox hat on, and Jerry was on a bender or something, and he just, on the spot fired Rick Hahn and Ken Williams and put us in charge of the White Sox. So I'll let Dave go first. Kind of, if you were in charge of the White Sox today, what would be like the 1 or 2 moves you would do to make the team better?
Well, I guess short term, it's a great question. I think the time of Eloy on the south side is over. I would not play him. I would find somebody to take him. If I had to include a few 100 baseballs, I'd do it. Maybe a few bats. Just the guy cannot stay on the field, and he does not help the team when he's hurt. I feel bad that he had surgery and he was really sick, but it just adds to the history that he just can't stay on the field. I think there might be a couple of arms down in the minor leagues that might need a look. It might be a long shot, but there's a couple guys in AA I was looking at that pitched in the SEC that might you might bring them up and give them a spot start, just see what you got. That's probably what I would do. I think also maybe package up Lucas with one of the extra hitters we have and see what you can get back. Maybe you can get a second baseman.
You kind of stole some of my action there, Dave. I think one of the moves I'd make is I would package Lucas and Quelly Cespedes together and call it the New York Mets and see if they're interested in giving Ronnie Mauricio away. Switch hitter, play second, play short. I think he's better than Colson Montgomery too, and he's more MLB ready. I think he could play tomorrow in the majors.
Yeah, and honestly, I can't say I disagree with the Eloy Jimenez play there because he can't stay on the field. He can't do it. He's just, even when he's DHing, he blows his hamstring out running to first base. Or if it's not on the field, it's off the field. Or if it's not during the season, it's in spring training. And you can't pencil him in and rely on him because he's just not going to be there. Which is sad because he's a fun player. When he's hot, he crushes the baseball. But he's just I'm blown away at how injury prone he is. It's kind of like incredible.
You're almost at a point where like you're not going to get anything for him, so you may as well just keep him. But you can't have him occupying a roster spot when someone else can be helping you. There's no way you can send Jake Burger down and keep Eloy. That would be insanity.
You don't think you can get anything for Eloy? Even pitch the idea of he's healthy full time?
You'll get something, but I guess I'm discounting like if I get, some single A lottery ticket, whether it's really going to be worth much. But yeah, you could get something. Teams like maybe I don't know who's DH needy, but a team like Miami, a team, the A's are always looking for reclamation projects. Who knows?
And he's got like 2, 3, maybe 3 or 4 years on his contract still.
Yeah.
They're going to be expensive, but you have the control when you trade for them. So, like maybe a team that's close on a rebuild or something is a team that you'd want to trade him to.
Yeah, maybe he could stay healthy for a 2-week playoff run.
It's just tough because when you see him stay healthy the second half of last season when he came back, and he was the second best hitter in the AL, only behind Aaron Judge, who was breaking a home run record. But he got hurt eating lunch this time. I mean, it's tough, but you're eating lunch. And
like I said, I feel bad because he's actually sick, and I hope he gets better. Don't wish anything bad on him, but his job is to play baseball and hit baseballs, and he can't do it. And it's one thing after the other. So,
and he can't field. So he's
no.
He is a pure DH type.
And even without him in the lineup, like you said, Uelke is extra. You've got Sheets, Vaughn, Berger. You got a lot of the same kinds of players. So you could still move Eloy and move one of those guys and still be fine.
Well, I just say Uelke because he doesn't have a real future in the major. I mean, he's blocked. He's not better than Luis, even though when Luis jogs, he's still better than Uelke. He's not better than Oscar because Oscar, even if they're the same defense, Oscar's at least a left-handed bat on the south side. And Andrew Benintendi's an all-star that you just gave the highest contract in team history to. Like, Uelke's not going to take any of those spots anytime soon. He's 24, I think, already down in Birmingham. So, I mean, you could, I think, just kind of looking at the NL, because I don't think you send Eloy to the AL because if he catches fire, that's more insult to injury than anything else.
Well, he could catch fire for the A's. It wouldn't matter, but
yeah, that's true. That's true. They got a squad over there in Oakland this year. Holy cow!
Could you imagine Eloy in Vegas?
Ball would fly.
Ball would fly real far.
Yeah.
I mean, the Phillies
send them to Colorado.
All Colorado could use them. You could take we'd take German and his inflated ERA because he plays in the stadium that the ball flies 6,000 feet. You can send
him to the Pirates, dude. The Pirates are, like catching lightning in a bottle right now. So they probably are thinking, let's try and win the World Series.
You might have just mentioned something there, like if you took another player from another team that's struggling and just swap and give two guys a change of scenery, maybe that's the way to move that contract too.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. It's all like a big part of Eloy being hurt so often is it could be the White Sox training staff. Like they just don't know how to specifically with him make him not get hurt.
Well, you could even, I mean, this kind of gets into my Lucas Giolito move because you would have to replace Lucas's arm. And there's a guy I love in Cincinnati, and Nick Lodolo. He is what you hope Garrett Crochet's like floor is in a couple of years. You could call the Reds and be like, you want Eloy and a center fielder and, I don't know, Jose Rodriguez, middle infield prospect. What's the price tag on Nick Lodolo? I mean, I think we saw him this week, right? We saw him this weekend.
Yeah,
he did. Gave the Sox fits last night, I think it was, right? It wasn't today. He didn't get lit up today.
Yeah.
No, I think it was last night.
Reds are a rebuilding team too. So how do they value him? Is he part of their core or is he extra? I don't know that.
They're kind of deep on the pitching prospects. I think I think their guy is Hunter Green because they've already extended him. Like I think went all in on him, but they're pretty deep pitching prospect wise. They need Adeo Cruz to kind of hit though if they're going to have any kind of future. With the rebuild, which I hope he does, because Adeo Cruz is a fun player to watch. Fast, middle infielder, makes some slick plays. And then, so Matt, I'll start off with this one. If you were to make a move, kind of a philosophy change for the White Sox, long-term to make the team better, what would yours be?
I would just either hire like whoever is in charge of the minor league system for the Rays and pay him however much money they need to pay him, either from the Rays or the Cleveland Guardians, and like figure out who is the magic man over there in Tampa, and like how is he getting all of these guys who no one's ever heard of, even like their international prospects are not highly touted most of the time, and they just turn them into dudes who walk and get on base. And then, play baseball the way the game's supposed to be played. They catch the ball and they squeeze it and they get on base. It doesn't matter how they get on base, but they get on base.
And they pitch, and every time they bring up a pitcher, it seems like it's just another dude.
Yeah, it's been about 20 years in a row of this now.
I don't know if you guys saw, but there was an article online. You could probably search for it about the Rays and their pitching philosophy and how they pick up guys off the waiver wire or in low-level trades and turn guys around. And they've done it. It's not just luck. I mean, they've done it multiple times. And it's a real simple philosophy. They get these, they don't change mechanics. They don't change grips. They just tell the guys, we want you in the zone. We want you to throw strikes. Don't care what happens, throw more strikes. And when they do, the game gets easier. And it's a great article. And I actually talked to a Rays scout about it. And he's like, yeah, I mean, that's what we do. We just tell them to throw strikes. We get them in the zone, and we may work on location a little bit more, but just stop messing around, simplify everything.
Well, watching them play the White Sox in St. Pete, which is, I don't think that direction for me, it was just like the first 3 pitches of every at bat, they got ahead 1-2, and then the White Sox were done. It was over. The at bat was over. They could throw whatever they wanted, and the Sox were going to swing. Like, it was like they knew the first 3 pitches they attacked, and it was at that point it was done. There was no.
And you can talk all you want about like projectability and the velocity and this and that about any pitcher you want, but it's just simple math at the end of the day. How many times do we have to see Moneyball to understand that if you get ahead, your odds of getting an out go up, and the guy with the bat, his odds of getting a hit go down. Period. But it's a great article if you can search for it on the Rays philosophy. It's really cool.
Yeah,
and it's really just simple.
You know where they probably talked about that, Matt? Where they devised that plan?
I think maybe in a locker room somewhere.
They did, probably in a locker room. And if you like to hear our plans or more of Dave, you can go check out the Top Fan Rivalry locker room. Code ShySoxTalks. 10% off all access and
check it out.
Merchandise. It's a lot of fun back there. A lot of great articles. More of us, more of Dave. So, and if you're a fan of other teams or just a fan of baseball, there's a lot of good stuff in there. But I agree with you too. I think it's a matter of taking the page out of the Rays and Guardians playbook, and it's just those 2 teams develop pitching so well. And then, I mean, look at the Guardians. It's not like they draft top-level middle infielders or go sign international prospects, outfielders or anything. They built their whole middle infield that currently smoked the White Sox last year from drafting pitchers, developing them, having 100 pitchers, and you only need, 13 in the majors. And they traded for Josh Naylor and Jimenez, and I think they did draft Ramirez, right? They drafted him. Not drafted, but signed him internationally.
Yeah.
They got Rosario through a trade with another pitcher. Like, all they do is they take pitchers and whatever the first 4 rounds every year, basically in the draft, develop them. You only need 13 in the majors. And how often they trade Cy Young pitchers away to just replace with another one?
In like the
all the
2000s, it seemed like every other year. I think they did it 2 years in a row. But another thing that you kind of see the Cleveland Guardians organization do is, like, when a guy doesn't work out, they're see ya. You're not growing with us. We're not going to figure it out. We don't think you're a good ball player. Figure it out somewhere else. Like the Tyler Pilkington.
Connor Pilkington. Yeah, they traded
or Tyler Connor.
Yeah,
and Cleveland says, you're no good. You're not going to figure it out here. You can go figure it out somewhere else. And, it's kind of the opposite of what we do here on the South Side, where we kind of just keep hanging on to guys and hanging on to them and hanging on to them.
And the problem is, if you just go and pluck, their minor league, director or whatever, it all starts at the top. And it starts with the budget you give those guys and how many scouts you put on the ground and how you trust what their reports say. And that's where I think they fall down. I don't think they have stupid baseball people. I think they don't have enough of them. And I think they don't trust what their baseball people are telling them down on the ground. That's just my opinion. I don't have anything to back it up, but
yeah, I mean, but yeah, you kind of see that all over Twitter. It's like it all starts at the top, and it rolls downhill, as they say. And it's just something at the very top of the organization is stopping smart baseball from being played and smart baseball from kind of just happening with the team.
The scouts are out there writing reports on all the same pitchers, all the same guys. And those, when the scout writes the report and submits it, they move on. They hope their guy gets picked if they really like him, but they move on. And it's up to management to do something with that.
Well, I'm pulling it up right now, but the list of first round draft picks by the White Sox, like how many?
It's pathetic.
Since Nick Madrigal was a horrible pick in retrospect, like awful.
Well, Zach Birdie, Zach Collins.
So
Zach Collins could never figure it out. Zach Birdie got hurt, and they couldn't figure it out after that. I think we saw him a couple weeks ago with the Rays, though. If I'm not mistaken. So he's still
bouncing around trying to figure it out.
So 2011, when Rick Hahn got into his position.
You also just before you start, Chris. You shouldn't be drafting a reliever in the first round, right?
Who?
Like, was Zach Birdie your first rounder?
Yes.
Yeah, he was. 2016.
You can't take a closer. You just can't. I'm sorry.
So, Keenan Walker, Courtney Hawkins, who they took over, just some guy who plays for the Angels now.
Both of those guys are terrible. Never even sniffed the majors.
They took him one pick before some guy named Mike Trout, whoever that dude is. Tim Anderson. So there's one. Carlos Rodon, who might legitimately be done playing baseball now. Carson Fulmer, Zach Collins, Zach Birdie, who I think Zach Birdie was a consummation pick, right? Compensation, yeah. Because they had 2 picks in 2016. Jake Berger, Nick Madrigal, Eric Vaughn, Garrett Crochet, Colson Montgomery, and then I'm not going to throw Noah Schultz in there because he's picked last year. Yeah, he's just starting to figure it out. But
just getting out of high school.
Yeah. What is that? Two guys who've been on. Well, I guess currently on the roster. Three of them on the roster currently. 4 that we've seen that we traded one away. Nick Madrigal, who couldn't turn a double play. I think of his life or his parents' life or his future child's life depended on it.
Unfortunately, too, if you go back, even into the previous decade, you got Chris Sale and a bunch of nothing.
Yeah.
Gio Gonzalez, who they traded twice. He had a decent career. There's a bunch of nothing other than that.
Well, it's also like this thought process that I've heard people say before, and it drives me nuts. They're like, wow, if you don't make the trades, like look at the team they have. They have Chris Bassett and Marcus Semien and Fernando Tatis Jr., and then you'll hear another fan be like, do you really think those guys are who they are if they stay with the White Sox? And honestly, they're probably not, which is what's frustrating because you have guys like Frank Mendocino in the core years of this core's development saying, just hit singles. Don't hit the ball far. Don't hit in the air. Just hit singles, and we'll just lead the league in singles.
Yeah, I mean, that's the old way. That's the old way to play baseball, and that's not how winning baseball is played currently.
Well, and if you're going to do that, then you need to also bunt and move runners and hit
Exactly.
behind runners, and we don't do any of that either.
And you look at the Rays, like all they did that whole weekend was hit the ball in the air. Even if it didn't leave the park, it wasn't a double play. The guy would steal, like first pitch of the at bat, he'd steal second, and then he'd tag from second to third. And then a dribbler would get him home, and it was just all and I was like, the White Sox do not do any of this right, any of it.
Well, and I'll bring this up too, since I'm a homer here in Phoenix. But the Diamondbacks aren't the Rays, but I'll tell you what, they're only a couple of years behind. And you watch some of those players play, Corbin Carroll and Alec Thomas, and you watch some of those guys. They're really, really fun to watch, and they put pressure on the defense all the time. And that's why they're a half game behind the Dodgers. They're ahead of the Padres right now. And that GM is doing a heck of a job, and he's trusting his people on the ground to pick talent. Heck of a job. So if you haven't checked them out, give them a little look.
Amazing the things you can do when you get Tony La Russa out of your front office.
Yeah, and Dave Stewart. Yeah.
Maybe Ken Williams and Rick Hahn. Well, Rick Hahn always promised us when he knew he couldn't do the job, he'd step down. I guess he still believes it. I guess he still believes he got the right people in place here. So, and if Rick Hahn steps down and then Chris Getz gets promoted, I might have an aneurysm because that guy has developed no one in the minor league system.
Yeah, but I mean that's what they did last time. Kenny Williams.
Yeah, I know.
Kenny Williams got promoted, and then his underling got the job.
That's right. And as always, we like to kind of predict this next week. Matt and I tend to be way more optimistic than what ultimately happens. But you got 4 against Kansas City and then 3 against Houston. Dave, I'll let you throw your prediction out first. 7 games. What are they going?
Well, the Houston series obviously is going to be the tough one. So I think they maybe win one of those, and I think they maybe win 3 in the other series. I think a 4-win week would be a win for that team and pick up a game in the standings. I think that's where I'm going to land.
Matt? We did say 7-0 last time.
Yeah, boy.
Then they lost 10 in a row.
I remember the last prediction I made did not pan out. I don't think they won for 2 weeks.
Nope.
Hopefully nobody took that to the sports book.
Yeah. So it's 4-3.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna get their first sweep of the season against Kansas City, and then maybe lose 2 to the Astros and let us down.
Yeah, I think the same. I think they can sweep Kansas City. You got Lucas, Cease, Clevenger. Clevenger games is really the one you got to get through.
I mean, the Royals are like 9 wins. 9 wins this year only. Like the Royals are pretty rough this year.
Yeah, well, the White Sox only have 12, so I can't like.
Yeah, that's true. That's
true. But thank you all for listening. Oh, Dave.
Saturday the 13th is Eloy Jimenez Hi Mom Talking Bobblehead Day.
Incredible.
I wonder if they're gonna switch it out for something else.
Put him in a hospital bed and give him out or whatever.
Or they'll just give a picture to everybody when they hung his jersey up, all autographed in the dugout.
And pretended like he was dead.
Yeah.
Change it from Hi Mom to Hi Doc.
Oh, that's tough. Poor guy. Yeah.
All he's got to do is get in the lineup and start hitting, and we'll leave him alone.
Yep.
Oh, he was hitting. He had hit like 3 home runs in 2 weeks or something like that in 10 days.
Then he got appendicitis. So
somebody in the White Sox medical staff's got to be
poisoning the players with mercury or something.
Yeah,
the only explanation.
Purposely keeping guys hurt. So, well, folks, thank you for listening. If you want more, like I said earlier, as always, Top Fan Rivalry Locker Room. If you liked what you heard with me and Matt, if you like Dave, 10% off Shy Sox Talks, all with an S. All access and merchandise. So maybe one day there'll be a shirt with me and Matt if the White Sox ever win, just being like happy. As always, go Sox.
Go Sox.
Go Sox.